Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Paul Plays with Fire. Welcome. Come on in and grab yourself a chair. The sweet corn is at the peak of ripeness right now, and it is time to save some away for a snowy day. So today on the show, I'm going to show you my process for preparing sweet corn for freezing. It's a pretty quick and easy process, and because it is such a beautiful day outside, we're going to be doing it all outside. First, let's talk through the ingredients. Well, let's see, we have sweet corn. And that's about it. Let's see, we'll need a few Ziplocs, some boiling water, some icy water. But see, I told you it was simple. Let's get busy. We'll start by boiling some water and shucking some sweet corn. We got the water started. We've got our induction cooktop here, and it makes pretty short work of boiling water. So I think we should get through this pretty quick. We've got 2 dozen ears of corn. It's from my local corn person, who also happens to be my rural mail carrier. She sent a message this morning that says, if you ever wanted to freeze sweet corn, now is the time to do it. So like I said, we're just gonna shuck a few ears so we can get this process started. We really set up an assembly line where we'll put 3 ears in here, and then we'll put 3 ears. We've got a cooler full of ice and water that will cool it off in, and then we'll move them. So we just keep moving things through that assembly line until we have enough to cut up, and then we'll cut it up as we go. And it does go really, really quick. So that's it. Like I said, we're gonna just shuck a few ears. And if you haven't ever shucked sweet corn, it's really not too hard. I know I've said that a bunch of times, but it's true. It's kind of messy. It's good to do it outside. And the silks are always a problem, but there's just really not that big a deal. There's one. Pull it down 2 or 3 times, as much as you can grab, and pull it down, get it out of the way, snap it off at the bottom, and then there you go. Good looking at your corn right there. One more. I guess you need to get a garbage can out here. Okay, we got 3 ears of corn. As soon as our water is boiling, we'll get to the next step. Well, our water is at a full rolling boil, and we got about 12 ears. We do have 12 ears there that we cleaned here. Once again, really nice looking corn. She was right when she said it was a good time to freeze some corn. So, and I did take them inside and rinse them off a little bit after I got them husked. So they're ready to go now. So we're gonna put 3 in and see how that goes. Just drop 3 in real quick, very gently, so as to not splash. And as soon as that returns to a boil, we're going to start a 4-minute timer on it. And we'll let it go for just 4 minutes. That's a process called blanching. The purpose of blanching, there's enzymes in corn, there's enzymes in all vegetables that cause the freshening or the ripening process. So once you've picked something at the peak of freshness, at the peak of ripeness, you want to stop it right there, and that's what blanching does. Blanching shuts down those enzymes, stops those enzymes, or at least slows them way down, and makes the corn ready to be frozen. So we're going to go ahead and start a timer now. It's getting pretty close. I can see some boiling on the bottom. Start a 4-minute timer, and we'll see you then. There we go. That's been 4 minutes. So as important as the blanching process is to preparing corn for freezing, it's equally as important to then immediately cool it down to stop that cooking process. Boy, look at that ear of corn. Isn't that just beautiful? Notice the color difference between a cooked and an uncooked ear, how it really makes that color pop and sets those colors. Our next important step of the process is the ice bath, cooler full of ice. So we're just gonna dump that right in there. Get on there. And let that sit for about as long as it cooked. So about 4 minutes or maybe a little more. I don't think it hurts too much to have it in the cool water. I've heard some people talk about you don't want your corn to get soggy. I don't know what that's about. I'm not sure that's even a thing. And from what I've heard, the outside layer of the corn, the pericarp is pretty tough to penetrate, especially with just a little cold water. So anyway, so now as soon as this returns to boil, and it's getting pretty close already, we'll go ahead and start another set of ears in here, and then we'll just keep that process going until we'll get through this 12 ears pretty quick. And there, just like that, it's been 4 minutes again. So we'll take this corn out, and quickly dump it into the ice bath. And we'll keep it separate. We'll put it on the other side of the cooler so that we can tell which to switch, because we're going to pull the other stuff out now. Just for curiosity. Coming out of the blanch, it's at 175. So that's right where we want it to be. From our other work with corn, if you're interested in that, there's a video here and here where we talked all about all the different ways of cooking sweet corn. It was kind of interesting and I learned a lot. I hope you did too if you watched it. Okay. We'll pull one of those other ears out, and just for science, we'll give it a temperature reading, and it's now at 50 degrees. So it dropped really quick in that ice water, and that's exactly what we want. We want to go ahead and blanch it to stop those enzymes, the ripening enzymes from working, dump it in the cold water to stop that cooking process so that we don't need to cook it any further since we're going to freeze it. But that locks in the freshness. Now, once again, look at those two ears side by side, the cooked versus the non-cooked. And this is the one that just came out of the ice water. It's cold. And in 8 minutes, basically, 4 minutes in here and 4 minutes in here. And that's all it takes to get it done. So we're just going to keep going through that process. And all my talking, now the water's boiling again. So we'll go ahead and put 3 more ears in. And then we'll go ahead and pull the rest of those ears out. And you can see just how quickly you could make a pretty good sized pile of ready to be frozen corn just by using this method. So we'll go ahead and set the timer and we'll go through this process again. See you on the other side. Well, there you have it. 4 minutes, another 4 minutes, another 3 ears of corn done. We'll go ahead and follow the same process. Yep, right on the number. Right in the 170s, right where we want it. And pull those other ears out of the cooler. 47 degrees, perfect. See what I mean about the assembly line part of this? Most preserving, anytime you preserve foods, whether it's canning tomatoes or anything like that where you're doing a large volume of stuff, it ends up being an assembly line process, and that's okay because it's quicker that way. Okay, our last 3 ears going in. The last 3 ears of the first dozen. I still have another dozen back on the back there to do. I may not film all that though. It might be a little redundant. Anyway, we'll let this go and then we'll cut some corn up. Okay, we got our first 6 ears done, and it's time to go ahead and get them cut off the cob, get the corn kernels cut off the cob, and move on to the next step. So the best way I found to do this, I'm not a trained chef, so my knife skills aren't the best, but I just start at the top and work my way to the bottom. And I use one of my pizza pans. If you've seen the show before, you've seen me use these pizza pans to, make pizza. I use these pizza pans because they got a fairly high wall on the side, and one of my little cutting boards fits right inside here, and then it keeps the splashing of the corn down. It's another reason to do it outside. And you don't really want to scrape. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get down into the cob because that's nasty and nobody wants that. Just go straight down the edge, not getting too deep. I'm not really going to that boat. Now then, some people say to go down to the back of your knife and kind of milk the high points to get that extra corn juice in there, but it does kind of make a mess. That's one. But that also gets some of what's called the corn germ, the kernel germ, the very base of the kernel. The stuff that contains all the parts that tell the next corn plant that grows up from that corn what to be. Well, a sharp knife is your friend here. You got to be careful because you can get right into the cob if you're not careful, just like I did there. There, pretty quick. And look at what a pile of corn we got already here. And my knife is sharp enough that I don't really even need to saw back and forth. You see some people kind of sawing like they're cutting wood. But if a nice sharp knife will just go straight down, getting 2 or 3 rows at a time. There we go. And you can feel this corn is cooled down now. It has definitely taken to the cool of the freeze from the ice water. And you don't have to worry about breaking up these large pieces. Sometimes they'll stay together after the freezing and sometimes they won't. But it all tastes the same. And what it tastes like is really, really good. Little butter, salt, and pepper on that corn. Oh. I tell you, in January, there's nothing better. You ask me, is all this work worth it? Ask me in January. The answer is yes. There, just while we're talking, look what we've done. We've got a whole nice big mess of sweet corn. All we got to do is put it in a Ziploc bag or 2 or 3, probably 2. And it's ready to go in the freezer. Lucky me, I got some Ziplocs right here. And for putting it into the bags, I use my dough scraper. You may remember this from some of my sourdough or pizza dough. This is a bowl scraper, a dough scraper. It's for when you're making dough scrape in the bowl. But it's good because it fits sideways into it, so I can scoop it this way and then fit it sideways into the Ziploc. Or I can also use the round edge along with my round pizza pan. Okay, let's see how it goes. Just like that, see? So simple. Now these days I'm mostly just cooking for Mrs. Paul Plays with Fire and I. So 3 years worth of sweet corn, which is what 1 bag would be if I took those 6 years and divided it into 2 bags. This is actually a lot of corn in the wintertime. When I'm sitting here in August eating corn, it's not so much corn, but in January it's a lot of corn. But it's good in soups. I make a corn chowder with it. Maybe we'll do that this January. Make a corn chowder with it, or I just eat it by itself with a little butter, salt, and pepper next to a pork chop or something, or lots of different things you can do with it. Anything you do with this corn, anything you do with canned corn, this corn will be better. There. Now see, when I get to the very end, this is where the round dough scraper has an advantage. There you go. Those look like about the same size. And that'll be such a nice, like I said, such a nice treat in January. That'll be so good. And now you know how I freeze sweet corn. And I usually freeze a batch, about a couple dozen, 3 dozen ears every year, just because it's so good. It's so easy to do and it's so good. I hope you learned something today. I had fun doing it. I hope you had fun watching. We'll see you next time.